Mayoral Memo with Matthew Dickerson from Dubbo Regional Council.
Mayor of Dubbo Regional Council, Matthew Dickerson. Welcome to 2024 with me on the radio.
How long can I get away with saying Happy New Year for? We're a couple of weeks in, I'm still saying Happy New Year to people. Is it okay to say Happy New Year to someone the first time you run into them, even if it's after January?
I reckon.
Yeah, okay. Right. Well, Happy New Year, Rod.
Happy 2024 to you. I hope it's a great year for you, your family, and, of course, all the folks of Dubbo Regional Council area.
Yeah, thank you very much. And same to you, obviously, and to all your listeners across there, which goes across a huge area.
And there's a bit of a wind around the region, and you had a big announcement recently.
Well, we did have a big... well, this wasn't so much an announcement. We knew about this, but this was the sod turning. So this is the Ungala Wind Farm. Now, that's down around Wellington. People that drive from Wellington across to Mudgee, for example, as you go out the Goolma Road, on the right-hand side, you go down there towards Ungala Road. And we had some heavy hitters in town for this. We had Twiggy Forrest, or Andrew Forrest, who is the owner of Squadron Energy, which is the company doing that, and we had Chris Bowen, the Minister for Climate Change and Energy. I've never seen, Rod, such a media throng in Dubbo. I've seen big media throngs in Sydney and in Canberra, but I think there would have been at least 10 cameras there, and I'm not talking about baby cameras, I'm talking about 10 studio quality cameras there from all the heavy hitters from Sydney that came out to cover this particular event. So it's a really good thing from a Dubbo perspective, good thing for renewables perspective, but it's also showing that things are starting to happen. We've been talking about this renewable energy zone for a long time, and we've got some little projects there already, and we've got some community benefit fund money coming in small amounts, but in totality, we're going to have 37 projects that are all at different stages at the moment, but 37 projects are going to be there in this renewable energy zone. That's going to be injecting millions of dollars a year into our region just from our community benefits fund, apart from the employment, apart from the construction. There's an estimation that we're talking about somewhere in the vicinity of $20 billion will be invested in this area over the next 10 years. So all very exciting. It's good to have a chance to talk to Andrew Forrest. I've talked to Chris Bowen a number of times before about a range of things for this, but first time I've met Andrew Forrest, and a good chance to just talk about the region. And of course, he's familiar with the area. He's been out here a number of times, and he's obviously very keen on seeing this area progress.
Why the Dubbo regional area for one of these renewable energy zones?
So the renewable energy zone we're talking about here is technically called the Central West Arana Renewable Energy Zone, and it does take in parts of Mudgee or Mid-Western Regional Council, parts of Coonabarabran or Warrumbungle Shire Council, and obviously parts of Dubbo Regional Council. If we go back before the amalgamation, then it wouldn't have been part of our local government area. So it's, if you want to call it, the old Wellington Shire Council area. And the reason it's there, a couple of reasons. You've already got some infrastructure there, some transmission lines, some substations that suited some of the projects that are already up and running. But also it's a good area for both solar and wind. You've got land area, land space to be able to put solar in, but there seems to be a bit more focus on wind, and obviously you've got a few more hills. You don't have the same number of hills out around the Dubbo area, so wind doesn't seem to work quite as well when it's just flat. But when you've got those hills, you tend to get a bit more wind being generated there. So a couple of reasons that it's there, but keep in mind that when we talk about the RES, and I'm being a bit pedantic now, when we talk about the RES, the Renewable Energy Zone, the projects that plug into the new transmission lines that are being built by EnergyCo, they are ones that are technically part of the RES. So the ones that are there already, so for example, the Badengra wind farm, that's not part of the RES, but it's in the same location, it's generating renewable power. So in general, you've got all these different projects in the whole area, even though some aren't technically part of the RES. So that's all good, and it's one of those things that sometimes things fall into your lap. This has fallen into our lap. Our job as council is to make sure we take full advantage and squeeze as many dollars as we can and as many benefits as we can for our region, including a project that we've got a business case for now called a REACT Centre, a Renewable Energy Activity and Career Training Centre. And the idea of that is to do something that builds something that we can have visitors coming through. It'll be a tourist destination, but more importantly for the proponents, and I've already talked to Andrew Forrest about this, Chris Bowen knows about this, many of the proponents around the area know about it. They need somewhere to do their training, so why not do the training out here? So that's a plan that we've got as council, not to build that, but to get government and industry to build that particular REACT centre.
And is it true to be saying too that it's going to bring jobs to the region? And the Urana region overall needs, we've got a low unemployment rate, but we can always do with more jobs.
Yeah, that's right. There's a huge number of jobs. We did a report last year to council. Oh, sorry, not last year, the year before now. We're in 2024, aren't we? We did a report at the end of 2022, and that estimated that there would be somewhere in the vicinity of 5,000, maybe up to 6,000 jobs required during the construction phase. And the construction phase will take 10, maybe 15 years, but those 5,000 jobs we estimated over the next 5 years. So a huge amount of employment there alone. But then ongoing employment, it's not as good as a mine, because a mine needs a lot of people to actually work in the mine. Renewables don't need so many people, which is one of the advantages of them. So there's still some employment there on an ongoing perspective from that perspective, but we also want to see people coming through the area. But if we can change the face of Wellington, for example, over the next 5 years with that initial construction and something like the React Centre, then we think we can hold on to some of those employees, hold on to some of the economic benefits for the region.
All right, let's stay with wind, but in a different way, a kite flying festival.
There's the Makar Sankranti, I think it's pronounced, Kite Flying Festival, and it's an Indian festival. And one of the exciting things that I find about the multicultural community that we are creating here in the Dubbo region is that you learn about lots of things that you don't necessarily know about. You don't learn about all these different festivals and different activities around the world when you're at school, for example. So last year we had Diwali, which I would describe in very casual terms as the Christmas equivalent in India. So that was something that we didn't know about, I didn't know about, but now we know more about this. The Makar Sankranti Kite Flying Festival is another Indian tradition. It's one of those things in India that's encouraging people to get out of their house after winter and get out and do something outdoors and experience the sun. Of course, we've got the opposite seasons here in Australia, so we're obviously not coming out of winter here, but it's the same date, the same time frame that it was held. So down at Lady Cutler Ovals, I went down and joined in the Makar Sankranti Kite Flying Festival. I did manage to get one kite stuck in a tree, and there's not many trees down there, right? So I managed to do that and destroyed another couple of kites, but all in good fun. It was out there running around, just having some fun out on Lady Cutler with some kites. I haven't flown a kite since I was at school, I don't think.
Yeah, it'd be about the same. Wonderful events that the Indian folk put on, usually very colourful.
Yeah, that's right. There's a whole range of different ones, and it is one of those things that you just learn about different cultures from around the world, and I see that as very exciting. I see that we've still got what we do in Australia, but we learn about what happens around the world as well. And I must say the multicultural community in Dubbo is very active and makes sure that they do really try and get the whole community involved in these range of activities. So all very exciting.
We're hearing from Councillor Matthew Dickinson, Mayor of Dubbo Regional Council, and you're using an app to monitor water.
We actually launched this last year, but I want to remind residents about it again now. It's something that I think is actually quite good. We've got smart meters installed in just about every location. If you're in the Dubbo city limits or the Wellington city limits, you've got a smart meter. And that smart meter, you can log online and actually have a look at your usage. But we've got an app that we launched last year, and that app allows you to look at how much water you used yesterday, last week, last month, look at a whole range of things, but more importantly, it's also got the ability to give you alerts. And I've actually played around with it, and I've put my alert levels very low, so I'm going to hit those alert levels every day. So I get these alerts coming through every day to say, yesterday my water usage was high, or last week it was high. You can change those alerts to make them at the point where you want to get notification about it, but obviously not normal usage. But if you keep in mind that just something simple like a leaking tap can have a huge impact, you want to know about it as soon as possible. So to give you an idea, if you had a tap that was leaking, it was dripping one drip every second, that would be about 12,000 kilolitres of water every year. Now you're paying for that water. That water has to be treated at a water treatment plant. It's all potable water. So if we can reduce that, then that's obviously a very positive thing. And that was the idea of using smart meters and using the app to try and reduce everyone's water usage. Now, we'd also give general advice about things like maybe not hosing down paths, maybe sweeping them up, maybe use mulch in your garden, for example, take shorter showers, just basically be water conscious in everything that you do. But the good part about it now is if you treasure it, measure it. So now you can look on an app and see exactly how much water you are using and then monitor your behaviour and modify your behaviour and then look at it the next day and see how it's going.
Very beneficial. We're all got to look after our water usage, keep it down low. Now, last year, Dubbo Regional Council was involved in the 3D printing of a toilet block. What's happening now?
Well, I actually had some discussions over the Christmas time frame with a couple of companies. One company is looking to do printing of just one house, but a bit of a trial of a house, a 3D printed house. But another company I spoke to is talking about trying to solve some of the rental crisis we have in Dubbo and across the nation, it must be said. And they want to do 60 affordable homes using the 3D printing technology. Now, they talked to council, talked to me because they wanted to see how the 3D printed toilet went. And of course, I gave them some glowing reports about that project. It was done much cheaper than it would have been done normally. It was done much faster. And you've got the flexibility in design. And that's the thing that's exciting. This particular company, they can build 60 affordable homes. They said normally the cheapest way to build those would be to basically take one or two designs and build the same house over and over and over. It's cheaper and more cost effective to do it that way, but then you end up with a bunch of houses that look essentially identical. One thing they really liked about the 3D printed concept is they can have a range of different designs. They might have 10 different designs, for example, more if they wanted, and all that happens is they get fed into a computer and then that design gets printed, so they can have a huge amount of flexibility in what they produce without a lot of extra expense. They love the cost saving, they love the time frames of this, and we need more people apart from the renewable energy zone that I've just spoken about. We've got people moving to Dubbo every day. We need more homes for those people to live in. Employers tell me it's hard to get employees, and when they do get employees, then it's hard to find them somewhere to live. So we need to try and see what we can do there. Council isn't going to go out and build a bunch of housing. We don't have the finances to do that, and it's not our responsibility to build the housing, but we've got to see what we can do to encourage more housing to be built in Dubbo, and we'll do whatever we can to make sure we do get that housing there because we want people to live here.
A wonderful initiative there by that company or those companies. Let's watch that one with great interest. Lots of things happening, of course, across 2024 in the Dubbo Regional Council area. One of them at the end of February, the Touch Carnival.
Yeah, this was a great concept last year, or a great event last year, and we've secured the event for the next 3 years now. So the 2024, 2025, 2026 New South Wales Touch Junior State Cup Northern Conference will be held here. Now, last year, it was a bit of a one-off that we received that particular event because there was an issue with rain and flooding at where it was meant to be held. So we got that, and that was 7,000 people that were dropped onto our doorstep, which was a fantastic event. And the organisers of that were blown away. They thought it was run fantastically. They thought our grounds were fantastic. They thought Dubbo opened everyone there with open arms, apart from the fact there wasn't enough accommodation, which is a problem again this year, but we can't really solve that because that's a lot of people coming to Dubbo. So we've got the event again this year, next year and the year after. Another 7,000 people we're expecting to see. Things are happening, all sorts of organisation is happening. The end of February isn't that far away, and so from our perspective, a lot of times events like this, councils just hand over a chunk of change. And if I think of an NRL game, for example, you hand over $350,000 and an NRL team comes and plays a game in your particular city. We try and avoid that because we don't think it's good value for money just to hand over money, but we're happy to help organise these events. And so that's what we're doing, some of the on-the-ground organisation of this event to help out New South Wales Touch. And they actually appreciate that more than just handing over a chunk of change because it helps on the ground. We've got our staff here. We can organise some rentals they might need. We can organise to make sure the grounds are all marked up correctly. But again, keep an ear out for this end of February. I remember walking around at the last event and it was a real buzz just seeing teams out there playing, lots of fantastic high-quality touch footy being played. People just really on a high because they're involved in an event and they're enjoying Dubbo, they're enjoying the outdoors, and so it's a really good thing to be part of. So if you get the chance, you probably won't get accommodation, but if you get the chance, pop down at the end of February and have a look at the New South Wales Touch Junior State Cup.
Thank you for your time today.
Always my pleasure. Chat again in a couple of weeks.
Mayoral Memo with Matthew Dickerson from Dubbo Regional Council.